So we said our result is 1.54 times 10 raised to the power minus 5. Now that takes us to the next question. Don't forget, we're still under numbers and numeration. Now we have this question. Of course, I like this kind of question, has to do with money. Now find the simple interest rate percent per annum at which 1,000 naira accumulates to 1,240 naira in 3 years. That's your simple interest question. So remember, simple interest. It has a formula. Simple interest, simple interest, the interest is principal times rate times time over 100. Simple interest, take note, this is interest. Principal times rate times time over 100. Now, what is interest? Interest is simply what you have, that's the amount minus the principal. Please take note of this. Many students have problems when they see the word amount. It accumulates to this. It means this is the amount the person got at the end of the tenure. Now here we have amount. Interest is simply amount minus the principal. Amount minus the principal. Now what we have is the amount. Don't forget, the amount has been given to us to be 1,240. The principal is 1,000 naira. That's the amount of money that was saved. Okay? And then we have the time. The time is 3 years. Now, please, when you're solving a question like this, the unit of time is years in simple interest. For those of you who are physics students, you know the unit of time is seconds. But this is mathematics. For simple interest, the unit of time is years. Now, so we have the principal. So, look at this. We can find the simple interest from here. The simple interest would be the amount minus the principal, which is 1,240 minus 1,000. If you subtract that, do your mathematics, you have 240. Good. When I was teaching you, or when I started my class, I told you about, I gave you tips to how to prepare very well for this exam, especially when you go into the exam. Now, it is very important and very key to note that for things you can do without a calculator, please do. Don't always make reference to the calculator. The reason is this, you have just a short time. So imagine if you need a calculator to do 1,240 minus 1,000. I mean, it's just simple. 1,240 minus 1,000. It means you have 240 more than 1,000. So 1,240 minus 1,000 is simply 240. So that would save you so much time. Instead of looking for the calculator to just punch this. Now we need all the time in the world when we're preparing, when we're writing this exam. So please take note of that. So the simple interest is 240. So we have all that we need for this formula. Remember, what we expected to find is the rate. So which is the R. Now we can put all these things into the equation. The simple interest is 240. The principal is 1,000. Don't forget. The rate we don't have. The time is 3 years over 100. So we can cancel. We're left with 10 here. So if you multiply, this is 10 times R times 3. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 times R is 30R. So to get our R, we need to divide both sides by 30. So 30 will cancel out. 0 will cancel out. 3 in 24 is 8. So our R now becomes 8%. That is the rate for which 1,000 would accumulate to 1,240 in 3 years. So the right answer is option B. Now we're looking at something very important. We're going to surds. Don't forget, get the syllabus from that website I gave you. You'll find all of these topics under numbers and numeration. Now, what do we do with surds? We have a question that says, find the value of x if square root of 2 over x plus root 2 equals 1 over x minus root 2. Look at this. Now we have, this is both fraction and surds. So we have this. If we cross multiply, that's the ideal thing to do. When you have two fractions on the opposite sides of the equal sign, the easy way to solve it is to cross multiply. So we have two fractions. We cross multiply. Please take note of this. You don't cross multiply if there are more than two fractions. Look at it this way. If I have 1 over 2 plus x over 3 equals to 1 over 5, it would be wrong to cross multiply this. Why? Because you have two fractions here. But in this case, we have one fraction here, one fraction on either side of the equal sign. The best way to solve that question is to cross multiply. Now let's cross multiply. We'll cross multiply. We have square root of 2 times x minus square root of 2 equals 1 times x plus square root of 2. Now look at this. If you multiply this, you get x root 2. That is, it's more like saying 3 times x is 3x. Now, they are not the same. They are not like terms. So, you just multiply them this way. So, you have x root 2 minus, take note of this, root 2 times root 2 gives you 2. Now, this is a law in indices. Let me take you to the laws. Like I said, we have many laws. I wrote 3 laws earlier. Now, there's another law of indices that goes like this. X raised to power, the square root of x is x raised to power half. So, I have said x root x times root x equals to x. How did I get that? Remember from the law, root x is x raised to power half. So if I have to multiply both of them, it's more like saying x raised to power half times x raised to power half. I refer you to the first law of indices. The first law requires that we add the powers. So we have x raised to power half plus half. And you know what half plus half is? It's 1. So that gives us x raised to power 1. So if you have square root of 2 times square root of 2, just like we have here, we're going to get 2. So this times this will give us 2 equals, when you open the bracket, 1 times everything you have there is the same thing you have this. Now we can collect like terms. If you collect like terms, this comes over here. Bring the x to where this one is. You have minus x and take this one over here. Equals to square root of 2 plus 2. You see this? Good. Now, very importantly, so we can factorize. By factorize, I mean look for what is common. If you check this two, we have x here and we have x here. So x is common to both. So with x here, we can open a bracket and we have square root of 2 minus 1. You see this? Equals to square root of 2 plus 2. We need x. The question says we should find the value of x. So we have to divide both sides by square root of x, square root of 2 minus 1. Square root of 2 minus 1, minus 1. So that leaves us with x equals to root 2 plus 2 over root 2 minus 1. Now, if you look at the option, we don't have that kind of answer there. There's something we need to do here. We need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate. The word is conjugate. The conjugate of this surd is simply root 2 plus 1. Take note of that. The conjugate of root 2 minus 1 is root 2 plus 1. Now the reverse is the case. If what we have here was root 2 plus 1, the conjugate would be root 2 minus 1. So because what we have here is root 2 minus 1. We'll multiply both sides, that is the numerator and the denominator, by the conjugate of the surd, which is root 2 plus 1. Root 2 plus 1. Mr. McCollins, you would want to ask, why are we doing that? It's just so that we can simplify. We're doing that to simplify. Now, it's quite simple. Now, we have to go over the multiplication again. Take note, we are multiplying everything here by this. Now, let me take you to, let me give you something. If I have x plus 2 and x minus 3, you're told to multiply this. It's simple. What you do is you pick one term and multiply everything you have in the other bracket. See, x times x is x squared. X times minus 3 is minus 3x. You go to the next, 2 times x is plus 2x. Plus times minus, remember, we did that earlier, is minus. The signs are different. 2 times 3 is 6. So we can simplify. We have x squared minus x minus 6. That's what this gives us. Now, in the same vein, we can do the same thing here. Look at this. Root 2 times root 2, by now I'm sure you know how to solve that. That will give us 2. We did that earlier. Root 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times root 2 is 2 root 2. And 2 times 1 is 2. Over root 2 times root 2 is 2. Plus root 2 times 1 is root 2. Minus 1 times root 2 is minus root 2. Minus 1 times 1 is minus 1. Now look at this. These two will cancel out. Plus root 2 minus root 2 gives you 0. Now we can now simplify this. If you simplify this, you're going to have 2 plus 2 is 4. This is root 2. This is 2 root 2. How many root 2s do we have in total? We have 3. 1 root 2 and 2 root 2. When you add them, you have 3 root 2. So 4 plus 3 root 2 over 2 minus 1 is 1. And when you have 1 as a denominator, it's as good as leaving the numerator to stand alone. So the answer to the question is 4 plus 3 root 2. 4 plus 3 root 2, which is option A. 4 plus 3 root 2. I hope it's clear. I've taken pains to break this down. Then let me tell you something before we go on a short break. Now, it is very important also to note that while you're solving, if you find questions that will take your time, I would advise you stop. Leave those questions. Go look for questions that are simpler and easier to solve so that you can gain time and also get confidence. You gain confidence when you solve questions that are easy for you to solve. That way you can have enough time to come back to those questions that you have left. It is not wisdom to spend time solving a question that is giving you or taking so much of your time. At the end of the day, you find out that you have just a short time to solve questions that you could have solved easily. Please take note of that. It is very, very important. So our answer, or the answer to the question, is 3 root 2 plus 4. I'm sure that is simple. Now this question, in a class of 40 students, 32 offer mathematics, 24 offer physics, and 4 offer neither mathematics nor physics. How many offer both mathematics and physics? Now this is a set question. Now set is simply a collection of things that are similar. Okay, so there is no mathematics exam where you'll be required to define sets. So just know that. It's a collection of things that are similar. Now, like in your house, you can have a set of, if your family name is Joshua, a set of the Joshua family. Now there's something called a subset. Subset is simply a set that is in a set. Now in the Joshua family you can have, of course, families made up of children and parents. So a set of children, or the Joshua's children. Now they belong to that set, Joshua's family. Now the Joshua's family is what we call the universal set. It's called universal set. Okay, and then you have subsets, children, or Mr. Joshua's children. That is a subset under the universal set, the Joshua's family. The parents, if you have domestic staff, they can also be a subset, because of domestic staff also stay in the house. They live in the same house. So you have subsets. Subsets are just smaller sets under the big set, or in the big set. So that's what we have for set. There are some things we need to take note of. So set operators. This is called union. This is intersection. Now, if you have, there's one we call complement. I'll see how to explain all of these as we make progress. Now, if I have set A and set B, set A union B is simply all that we have in A and B. That's set A union B. Set A intersection B is simply all that is common to set A and set B. So if we have set A complement, you can see this like a prime. Set A complement, what it means is what is in the universal set that is not in set A. That's what a complement means. So take note of that. We're going to be doing a little thing on the set as we make progress. Now there's also something very important. There's a diagram called Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is simply a diagrammatic representation of sets. It's very, very simple. And this question is a Venn diagram question. I'm going to show you how to solve this question when we return from our break. Stay tuned.